Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered. I'm your host, Rick Blood, and I'm going to talk about a few things today because over the past week, there's been some crazy things. For one thing, smartphones. We're going to talk about these because just the simple fact of having one of these means that you spend a lot of your time looking at these. Text messages, music, people are walking around, they've got them hanging on their arms, they've got them hanging on their waists, with the earbuds in, and, jogging, walking, and now, the new app called Pokemon Go, which is what they call augmented reality. I want to know what's wrong with real reality. The basis of this game is that it uses your phone's GPS and its camera and probably many of the other things that are in here to guide you around to places in the real world where if you point your camera at something, you'll see a little something that's not there, and you throw little things on your screen at it and you capture it. And I guess the I don't know if there's any prize or what, but the winner is the one who captures the most little imaginary things that aren't there. When I was young, if you wanted to see stuff that wasn't there, you had to drop acid like everybody else. And then, you'd see stuff that wasn't there, dragons and monsters and cute little kittens or whatever. But this Pokemon Go thing it's kind of a social thing where the more people play it, you can connect up with people on your phone. And I'm not sure how the company makes any money. The only thing I can think of is that people pay the company so that the company will put imaginary things there. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, why would you put out this game? And there's a lot of bad stuff that's going on with this game. Again, it's because people are not paying attention to real reality. They're sucked into their augmented reality, and they forget where they're walking. I've heard stories of a couple of guys that walked off a cliff, fell 80 feet. Because they weren't watching where they were going. People have walked into traffic. Another thing that's happening is criminals are using the geotag GPS kind of thing that locates other players, and they're robbing them. And even if you go out and you play this game with no money in your pocket, a criminal is at the very least going to get your phone. Not to mention, of course, I haven't downloaded the app. But there are other apps that I have. I play Need for Speed on my phone when I'm bored and I'm in my business there's a lot of waiting time. So I play Need for Speed. It's a driving game, but you basically log in. And when you click the I agree thing on your sign up page, you agree to all kinds of stuff that you haven't read the agreement. Your lawyer hasn't read the agreement. There's fine print that says, these companies, anytime you sign in on a company and allow a company access to your stuff, even if it's simply, logging on to these video slot machine stuff on Facebook, these Facebook games. At the very least, they're going to get all of your friends' lists. And then you don't do it, but the app sends out all this crap to your friends. You know, I'm tired of getting game requests on Facebook. You know, my Facebook's loaded up with so-and-so invited you to play this game and that game and Bubble Cruise and Candy Magic and all that crap. It takes your information. And from what I understand, this Pokemon Go is no different. People have said, oh, it's a great thing. It's getting people out walking and exercising. And, you know, people could do that on their own. You don't need to be chasing imaginary little creatures around to get out and enjoy what we have on this earth. Before we destroy it, if you believe, you know, some of these idiots in power and all these false narratives about mankind gonna destroy the earth. You know, again, it's hype. It's a ploy to get people to change their behaviors. Threaten them with destruction and they'll change. Yeah, I'm not buying it. And people say, oh, well, it's science. Science can be, you know, whatever anybody says it is. You know, unless you actually can prove it. And I saw a story just yesterday that said that the Antarctic ice area is larger than it has ever been since we've started recording it. And they use satellite pictures to tell how much ice there is. And on one year, they snap that satellite image and they draw a little red line around where the ice pack is. And then the next year, they take another picture of it and they match it up to see if it fits within that red line. And guess what? The ice cap is outside of the last red lines. The ice in Antarctica is getting bigger, not smaller. So maybe the northern half is going to melt and the southern half is going to freeze all up now. Who knows? But let me tell you, if you believe science, then this earth has been here for billions and billions of years. Pretty arrogant to think that we're going to destroy it, you know? Just, again, it shows mankind's weird, twisted sense of what life is, you know? Yeah. We're not going to destroy the earth, believe me. No matter what we do, we will not destroy the earth. The earth will shake us off like a bad case of the fleas before we destroy it. That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, the whole Pokemon Go, and then it's augmented reality, virtual reality. Why? Again, what's wrong with just reality? And if you don't like reality, take drugs. Like everybody else does. Jesus. We had, I think last week, maybe I didn't. Maybe, I can't remember. Maybe it happened after last week's show. Nice, France. Actually, I think it did happen after last week's show. Bastille Day celebration. Tons of people gathered for a celebration. Somebody drives a truck through the crowd, kills all kinds of people. First thing I heard about this, because I was away and I wasn't really watching the news last weekend, I heard that Obama had made a remark, and in his remark was the word terrorist. He called it a despicable terrorist act or something. Which seemed funny to me because all the news reports were saying that this guy was basically a disgruntled worker who had been fired, and he wasn't radicalized. He had no ties to any radical groups. But yet Obama, he'll throw terrorism out in that instance. But he hasn't mentioned terrorism with the Orlando shootings, the San Bernardino shootings, the Dallas shootings. None of these mass killings in the United States has Obama came out and said is terrorism. But as soon as this thing hits over in France, it wasn't even a gun or a bomb. It was a truck. And again, are you going to ban trucks? You haven't heard one word about the dangers of big trucks. And as a former truck driver, I know that even if you're not trying to be deadly with one of those trucks, somebody cuts in front of you. People drive around trucks like trucks are just another car. They'll cut in front of them. Guess what? If you cut in front of a truck, you just took up the space that it was going to take him to stop. That's right. He doesn't have to be bent on killing you. Trucks, and nobody has come out, against trucks. It's not a truck problem. It's this person problem, apparently. And now I guess they're saying he was radicalized within minutes or something, 2 weeks or I don't know. It's, for one thing, once the suspect dies, you might as well give up on trying to figure out a motive, because it could be anything, but yet that's what they'll do. They'll kill the suspect, and then they'll spend weeks and weeks and months trying to figure out why he did it. Well, if you wanted to know why he did it, you should have just shot his kneecaps off so he was still alive, and then you could ask him why he did it. It was Dallas. The Dallas shooting. One of the things that kind of caught me on the Dallas shooting was how they got the guy. They didn't shoot him, they blew him up with a bomb attached to a robot. And that made me think, how much did that robot cost? And then they just send it in and boom, blow it up? That's not very economical, is it? Well, I guess the police department needs another robot. They blew up their last one. Taxpayer money, I'm going to get to a Facebook post, because I always ask for Facebook posts. I ask for you people to go on Facebook to the Unfiltered with TV's Rick Blood Facebook page. Let me know what you think. I won't use your name if you don't want me to. And generally, I don't use any last names anyway. I just use first names. Or in this case, nicknames. For instance, this got a message last week from the plaintiff. Y'all know who the plaintiff is. That's right. That's my dearly beloved ex-wife. Yes. She sent me a message that says, and I'm sorry, I haven't really followed this, because I get my news in 10-minute increments, and 10 minutes later I forget about it, for the most part. But she writes, so Noor Salman, the wife of the Orlando shooter, has been allowed to leave the country, and Hillary isn't going to be indicted. It seems to me the FBI has been paid off and is just as crooked as the government. Let's discuss this, she says. That's the first part. And yeah, let's talk about government-run investigative services. We'll talk to the FBI, the CIA, although the CIA is more of a assassination arm, the NSA, the TSA, all these people that are supposed to be keeping the public safe. You know, you always flash back when you get pulled over by the cops, and that old line, well, I pay your salary, you work for me. Which is correct. But they're controlled by the government. They work for the government. And it's the same thing. Hillary didn't get indicted. Her husband is as crooked as anything. He never got, he should have immediately been removed from office over his whole debacle. No, nothing happened to him. And don't get me wrong, I'm not just going to slam the Democrats, because George Bush, nothing ever happened to him for starting an illegal war and basically lying to everybody. Yeah. In the Constitution calls for a well-regulated militia. That doesn't mean that the government runs the militia. A lot of people are under the impression that the Constitution tells us what we can do, tells us what we're allowed to do. That's not it. The Constitution was written to protect us from the government. The Constitution is supposed to lay out the limits of what the government can do. It says in the Constitution, if the people feel that the government is not doing the job that it should be doing, the people have the right to rise up and remove said government and replace it. Will that ever happen? No. Why will that never happen? Because the government controls the military. Hell, in Egypt, they just had a military coup to try and take over the government. Guess what? 6,000 people are now headed for death because they were involved in the coup. And Egypt has said, they're going to probably look for the death penalty in those cases because it's considered treason to go against your government. But it shouldn't be treason to go against your government when the government is treating the people badly. And we all know that's what governments do. From the dawn of time, governments have held its hand over people. It's not right. We have to stand up and prove that we can basically govern ourselves. And that doesn't mean, just walking around so violent that violence is not the answer. Let's get to the rest of the plaintiff's message. But I'm sorry, I really, after the Orlando shooting, the other shootings and the Louisiana shootings, of which, that was said that was all because of those police officers in Louisiana, in Dallas, were shot because somebody was killed, because a black guy was killed somewhere else. I'm trying to think of Louisiana. One of the police officers in Louisiana that was gunned down was a black man. So where are your Black Lives Matter now? A black cop was killed. Is it the color of his skin or is it the color of his clothes? Again, motives are motives. You can't ask a dead guy why he did something. But this, and the media is not helping. The president's not helping. The president's not helping when he's sitting in the White House telling everybody that we have massive racial problems. We didn't have massive racial problems until he got into office. There was no Black Lives Matter when Reagan was in office. There was no Black Lives Matter when Clinton was in office. We make the greatest step in the history of this country by electing a black man president of the United States, and only after that do racial tensions rise. Doesn't make sense. Then that leads into the rest of the plaintiff's letter that says, and the world has gone mad with division and police being killed. Let's dismantle everything and start over. And here's a little suggestion she has. Everyone that takes office has to pass a lie detector test first, based on honesty and integrity. Maybe that's a good plan, you know? Because the Clintons were criminals long before they came to office. Just saying. I believe Obama was also a community organizer, organizing protests against the man that's been keeping him down. And then he became the man that's keeping him down. That's dumb. Anyway, yeah, the division thing, exactly. It's everywhere. But then again, we're not all the same, so of course there's division. You know, I'm different than the guy that sits next to me. We're different. We think different. He's a lefty, I'm a righty. And I don't mean handwriting-wise, I mean political-wise. Yeah. But we're not sitting in the office beating the crap out of each other. You know, we have conversations. You know, like adults. Sure, some of his ideas are weird. He thinks some of my ideas are just crazy, you know? But that's the way life is, you know? And division is not just black and white. It's you know, male and female. These days, for the next 6 months, of 4 months until the election, we're divided into red and blue. It's division, and it's stupid. If a Democrat says something nasty about a Republican, is there some sort of hate law in there? And if there isn't, why not? You know? I'm a Trump supporter. I've been called ignorant. I've been called, you know, many things for thinking that Trump may be the next good president. You know, vilified. Been called a racist. Been called all kinds of things, you know? Is that a reason for me to sue somebody? Or to kill somebody? because, oh, they hurt my feelings by calling me bad names. All because I'm just a Republican guy. And I'm not a Republican guy, I'm an independent. And like I've said many times before, I hate all of them. Yeah, I believe the plaintiff when she says we should tear down everything and start from scratch. Not just replace 2/3 of, or 1/3 of Congress at every election. Replace everybody. Start from scratch. That's where it's going to happen. All right. I've only got a couple minutes left. So I had some fun last week with some of these crazy laws from around the world. So we're going to do a few more of these. In Greece, women are prohibited from wearing high heels and tall hats in the Olympic Stadium. In Israel, it is forbidden to bring bears to the beach. And again, these are laws that something must have triggered this. People must have started bringing bears to the beach at one point. In Kentucky, it is against the law to put your ice cream cone in your pocket. There you go. I mean, some of the stuff you would even think would be common sense. In Louisiana, biting someone with your natural teeth is simple assault. Biting someone with false teeth is aggravated assault. In Oklahoma, it is illegal to take a bite out of someone else's hamburger. In Poland, firemen who serve in action may not have a mustache. Firemen who file paperwork may have a mustache. And that's kind of a safety thing. It's because of the air masks that you wear. The Scott air packs have an air mask, and facial hair tends to not seal up as well with those masks. In Thailand, it is illegal to drive without a shirt on. I guess I'll leave you with that one. I'll leave you with this one. In Quebec, no language other than French is permitted to be shown outdoors. All right. My time's up. If you're watching on Facebook, share me with your friends. Spread me around. I'm fun. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. You'll get every episode. Till next 2 weeks. I won't be back next week, but in 2 weeks I'll be back. Till then, I'm Rick Blood. This is Unfiltered. Peace.